What's up, what's up? Today we are going to be talking about inflation, or why most of the economies in the server have inflated when it comes to pricing, okay? We're also going to be tackling some basics on the balance of economies, not just for World of Dragoness, but we're going to try to relate it to the real world situation. Where does money come from? How is money supposed to be distributed? And what can we do as players in the game itself, as players, as small as our efforts can be, what can we do to prevent hyperinflation in our economy? And if your server is already inflated, what can we do to somewhat, fight back or maybe mitigate to get the prices back down to normal levels? Let's get on with this video. It's going to be really lengthy, but it's going to be very informative for everyone. Let's get on with this. Let's go. Okay, first of all, inflation, or the sudden rise of prices, is mainly driven by the demand of people wanting to spend a lot of their money, or in this case, in World of Dragoness, a lot of their green diamonds. So, in layman's term, what inflation really is the value of the currency in-game, whether it be green, red, or blue diamonds. Well, mostly this affects green diamonds. The value of the green diamonds in-game have lesser and lesser value, or the value drops. That's basically what inflation is. Because if the value of the green diamonds drop, then the prices to sell items would then rise up. Now, inflation is all true to all MMO games. Now, if you've been playing MMO for the past 20 years like me, you would know that the moment that an MMO opens its doors, you could easily buy really cheap items. But as years go on, it is expected for that MMO and that specific server that the items would already be inflated. That's because if the devs itself are not doing any action to mitigate these circumstances, and of course if the players themselves are not helping. So it has to be it's a scale to difficultly balance. The devs and the players have to play the role in safeguarding hyperinflation in-game. Okay, so why does inflation happen again in the first place? Let's redefine inflation again. Well, inflation is basically if the value of a currency in a certain economy drops or goes down. That's what happens to inflation. Now, normally, if you've been an old guy, if you've been around like me, you notice that the $5 bill or the 5 peso bill in our country before 20 years back would be able to buy a handful of stuff and food, okay? But today, the 5 peso bill can merely buy anything. It can't buy anything. Therefore, we've suffered a significant amount of inflation, although it's not hyperinflation. It's the same as in-game, okay? So when the game first starts out, well, you could easily buy really cheap items, really cool and really cheap items. But as the game progresses and more people play the game, more and more money come into the circulation, right? Therefore, more and more items are priced higher. The difference between real-world inflation and in-game inflation is that in real world, the governments actually control the amount of money that they are going to print along the way, therefore preventing hyperinflation from each and every possible economy. Okay, now in-game, however, the difference is that the currency actually has no limit. Why? Because in-game, where currencies come from, usually they come from killing mobs or killing monsters. And then when the games every time you kill a monster, it drops something. That's why we have all these bots around here, right? Every time you kill a monster, it drops something valuable that can produce more money into the economy, therefore putting the inflationary factors higher than before. Unlike in real world, again, where the governments control the amount of money printed, in in-game economy they can't. There are several things, however, that the devs can do and the players can do to prevent hyperinflation in the economy. One of the things that the devs can do, the developers can do, is essentially, number one, create 3 types of currencies. And as what you've noticed, I think if you've been playing this game for a while, there are 3 types, actually 4 types, but there are 3 types of diamonds in game right now. The blue diamonds, the red diamonds, and the green diamonds. But why these currencies are in place, there's a big reason for this: to control hyperinflation in game, okay? But that's a discussion for another topic. Now, today, however, we will be focusing on what the devs and the players can do to prevent hyperinflation in their economies. One thing that the devs can do is what we call money sinks, okay? Sinks as in like the sink, S-I-N-K. At least that's what we call it, okay? Money sinks. These are basically stuff and people or NPCs or, stuff in the game that actually sucks in extra money in the game, in game itself, okay? One example of which is the reason why you pay taxes every time you buy something on the exchange, okay? So every time you buy something on the exchange, the game actually takes out a portion of that transaction to make sure that hyperinflation or too much inflating of prices is prevented in the future. There are other things that the devs also do. The second thing that there are other things that the devs also do. Another thing is, what we call a death sink. If you've been playing MMOs for the past 20 years, again, just like me, in World of Warcraft, every time you die, you basically have to pay to be revived. And not just pay, okay? You go to an NPC and exchange money to repair your items or your weapons, okay? So that money automatically is drawn out into the system. So the devs automatically suck that money so that there will be less money in the circulation, and there will be, it will prevent hyperinflation, okay? The idea why hyperinflation happens basically is that if there's too much money going around, if there's too much money in the circulation, we've got people coming in and out, and there's no balance, then inflation happens. It's not that inflation doesn't happen over time, okay? Most MMOs, it will take months or years before inflation does happen. But, there are other factors aside from this, like, duplicators and chargebackers and all those stuff, right? These death sinks are good, but obviously they're not enough to mitigate or to prevent hyperinflation. Well, so far, as an MMO player, the only MMO game, I think, who basically nailed death sinks to control the economy is our folks at CCP, which is the developers of EVE Online. The massive multiplayer online experience, sci-fi experience. And I play that too, okay? Another thing that the devs can actually do and are currently doing to prevent hyperinflation in the economy is when you actually sell something straight out of your bag, okay? Now, you notice that when you when you sell something straight from your bag, the value is really, really low, because if you sell, for example, an armor straight from your bag, then that value would be like 1,000 times lower than the original value if you could have sold it on the exchange. Now, in normal MMOs, we normally go to NPCs to do this, but in World of Dragoness, you can do it straight from your bag. Now, where does the rest of the value come from? Where, for example, an armor supposed to be sold for 100k green diamonds, if you sell the armor through the exchange, it only sells how many gold coins, right? So where does the rest of the value go? Nowhere. And that's exactly why what the devs are trying to do. They're trying to control the money that's circulating around the economy. Other measures that our devs are currently doing right now is consumables. You know, the red potions, the red pots, and, you know, not the juice, but, you know, specifically the red pots, the elixirs, right? The FTG elixirs. So when you buy them in exchange for money or gold. So essentially, once you buy them, the gold actually gets sucked out of the game, which helps prevent hyperinflation or inflation itself. All of these services, basically all of the services that's being offered in game right now that take money out of the game without having to get any real tangible returns, you know, from everything, including increasing your bag slots, you know, the fees on the exchange, etc. Everything goes out to the devs. I mean, it's designed to suck money out of the economy, okay? Because the less money it is economy, you know, the better it is for the players in general. So Van, you mean to tell me that all of these things are actually being done already by the devs, right? Well then, how come all other servers, especially the old ones, already have hyperinflation in their economy, where it's supposed to be balanced out by the devs already? And the answer to that question is pretty simple, okay? There are obviously a lot of ninjas coming around every server. And in my beloved server, Berlin, for example, these ninjas are quite new in our server. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to create this video, to create awareness to the people of Berlin and for the other servers who hasn't been, you know, or who hasn't experienced hyperinflation just yet. Of course, these ninjas that I am talking about the refunders, the duplicators, and as far as rumors is concerned, there are even gem duplicators, green diamond duplicators. Now, these ninjas' main purpose basically is to sell in-game currency like the green diamonds and convert it into the actual currency outside, only they sell it really, really cheap in-game. Now, you might see some, regular offers for scammers online. You know, scammers are normal, and scammers are better, actually, than these third-party ninjas. Because scammers, at the very least, when they scam you, they don't put in more money in the economy, all right? So you're better off still continuing to play the game. While these ninjas, they offer you a really low price for their green diamonds, although you think you might have took advantage of their offers, but ultimately, in the long run, the entire economy of your server actually suffers. And this goes back to the situation where I cited to you why hyperinflation normally happens. When there's too much money, or in this case, when there's too much green diamonds in the economy, therefore the prices kind of start to go up, okay? Now, don't get me wrong though, MMOs are designed to have inflation in them because they're designed basically just to be like the regular real world economy, just like my example earlier, wherein your 5 peso dollar or 5 peso bill can no longer buy or does not have enough power anymore 20 years after. That's the regular economy. Now, most MMOs are also designed that way. It's designed that the longer the MMO actually is, or the longer the server actually is, there tends to be more increase in prices, and that's actually normal. What is not normal, however, is that there's a sudden increase in prices in just a matter of weeks or in just a matter of days. Now, that situation is called hyperinflation, wherein the value of the green diamonds that is being circulated within the server no longer has value or drops in value significantly after a few weeks or after a few days. So why does this happen again? Again, I believe it's all about putting more money into the economy, which normally leads back to the ninjas that are selling third-party green diamonds. That's why the developers at Nexon will always tell me that, we told you not to sell or not to buy from third-party vendors. We don't encourage that. Why? Because as a whole, the developers at Nexon, as bad as I may think they are by nerfing my cleric, okay, they have a reason to believe that they thought this out already, okay? They thought this out is that if everyone would just cooperate in the economy, then the economy would not suffer hyperinflation in the short run, and we don't want that. So as far as these ninjas is concerned, I think you're very much familiar with most of them. Like, you hear a shout out in the world, maybe this is something familiar to everyone, Kalios.com, something like that. Now, these ninjas have a way to, they're really good at programming, I guess. They have a way to duplicate or produce green diamonds than anyone else. Some of these ninjas, refer to refunding, wherein you try to purchase diamonds through your credit card and then you basically refund it, and then all at the same time you convert it to green diamonds, where in return you will sell these green diamonds to the players in the server. Now, that may sound good, and these ninjas might sound like a hero to you because they're selling you green diamonds for a really cheap price, but ultimately you're ruining your entire game. Therefore, if you try to buy from these third-party ninjas like Kalios.com or from other ninjas in Berlin right now, essentially there is a, you're as good as wasting your time in the game, okay? If you purchase through these ninjas or through these third party, you're essentially triggering hyperinflation in the short run. Therefore, most of the money that you normally purchase through these third party, the cheap money that you wanted to invest in, is actually not helping the economy as a server, in the server as a whole. And ultimately, you'd still end up being, the last person to, you'd still end up with a really high economy with high prices. So it don't matter if you saved, a few pesos or a few dollars in buying third party, but ultimately you're gonna ruin the game. So that would shorten the life of the entire game or the entire MMO. So Van, what can I do as a regular player or as a regular citizen in Berlin or in Velskad or in Rose, right? I want to protect our economy. Well, there are several things that you can do as a player. As far as you know, I have emailed conversation with the devs as well that they're doing their best to balance the economy, essentially, okay? And the players should do their part too. So, because it takes two to tango in order to really balance this economy. And here are the steps that you can do. These are pretty small steps, pretty simple steps, pretty obvious steps that you can do as a player in order for you to make sure the entire server will have a balanced economy. Listen up and listen good. If you want to retain the type of economy, or if you want to try and save the inflated economy in your server, there are several things that you can do, okay? Number one, as a player, the number one thing you can do is to not entertain these selling ninjas, okay? Now, you might think again that you're saving a lot of money by buying their green diamonds, with the fact that you're risking the entire economy, but in the long run, you would still lose if you do this. Why? Because you'd end up putting in more money into the circulation, and you'd end up ruining the entire economy, therefore triggering hyperinflation. So the first thing that you can do to help your economy as a player is to not entertain buying third-party green diamonds. Now, the second thing you can do as a player is that when you look at the exchange, what you can do is you can check out the prices for the regular goods. And I suggest you do this every now and then. So for example, for Velskad, if your Velskad is normally priced at 30,000 or 40,000, that's normal for Velskad price in Berlin. It depends on your server though, okay? The second thing that you can do as a player in order for you to balance out your economy, or at least somewhat have your economy recovered, to balance out your economy, you have to at least not buy overinflated goods, okay? Because if you buy overinflated goods, then that would put more money into the circulation and therefore triggering hyperinflation in the short run, okay? But I'm not saying that sellers can't overprice their goods. Of course you can. So if you got an armor, if you get a Green Dragon armor ultimate, you could definitely oversell it, okay? But not to a point wherein it's 300 times the price, okay? Overselling for merchants should always be around 20%, 40%, or even 60% of the regular price. Now that, you can buy that item if you want. However, if you see a Velskad, selling for 500,000, instead of just normally it's just 38,000, that's like way overpriced. So as a player, what you can do is to ignore that seller, not try and load up on diamonds and buy it, because you'd end up putting more money in the circulation while receiving just a few goods. And ultimately, you'll end up losing, everyone losing in the entire economy. But Van, what about the servers that have already hyperinflation in them? Well, here's the thing, okay? For the servers who have hyperinflation already in them, most of the time you will see these players that they actually have more green diamonds in their bags, okay? Because they have hyperinflation already. It's because their green diamonds is lesser value than the green diamonds that we have probably at Berlin, okay? Berlin server. So 150 million green diamonds in Berlin is like you're super rich. You're like a billionaire. But 150 million in Manticore means you're poor. So you can kind of tell the difference there. But Van, what can I do in order for me to, actually help the economy or to have the economy recover? Here's the thing, this is going to be a really tough effort, okay? Prevention is always better than recovery, okay? With everything, with medicine, also with the economy. What you can do is follow the basic advice that I told you. Number one, do not cater to third-party sales, okay? And number two, do not entertain or do not buy hyperinflated products or overpriced products on the exchange. Now, if you do this consistently for a number of weeks or maybe probably a number of months, and you let the devs play their roles in sucking out that extra money in the economy, then therefore you would have a chance to have your servers actually recovered into a normal economy if it's already hyperinflated. And then again, there are new patches coming designed to actually balance out the economy, such as controls over the town wherein guilds can raise prices, such as maintaining a guild might require you to pay green diamonds. So all these things are going to be put out, hopefully going to be put out soon in the servers and into the game itself in order to balance the economy or in order for the hyperinflated economy to have a rebound. Now, most of these features are not yet out, and I'm kind of hoping that it will be like EVE Online, wherein people are encouraged to do a massive guild war, because if anyone dies, then it's gonna suck out a lot of money in the circulation or in the economy, okay? Therefore, balancing out the economic status of the MMO. That is also one reason why I like EVE Online. By the way, this is not whatsoever sponsored by EVE Online. I just love how the economy works. And another thing also is World of Warcraft. They're just kind of expensive to play, if you know what I mean. So all in all, at the very least, there's still hope for hyperinflated servers like Manticore or whatever the first servers are, okay? There's still hope for the hyperinflated server. If people would just cooperate, okay, especially the people who buy a lot of big diamonds, if they can settle down and maybe try not to load up on diamonds and just use the green diamonds in game, well, it would greatly help the server a lot. Okay. Now, for the people who still have, for the servers, who still have a well-balanced economy, remember, guys, preventing hyperinflation is easier than actually recovering from it. Okay, so I hope this has been a very informative video for you guys. Just some little economics on MMO inflation and World of Dragon-esque inflation. So I hope the people from Berlin server would realize also to please not cater to third-party green diamond sellers. Besides, they're making a whole ton of money while ruining our game. Well, that's the bottom line, okay? And for the people who are already in the hyperinflated server, I'm hoping that your server also would recover. I know for a fact that the devs are looking into this, and they'll be implementing new tax rules, new guild rules, who controls the taxes, and in order for them to suck more money out of your economy and everyone's economy, so that they can back stabilize hyperinflation, or they can stabilize, your economy back to normal. Well, I guess that's about it. I hope this guide has helped you and made you realize how important your decisions are in game and how important you are as a player as a whole for the entire balance of the forest. Balance of the economy. By the way, shout out to Watt, my good friend Watt, my fellow cleric in the Berlin server. Let's not cry just yet. Let's wait for the next patch, okay? Anyway, thank you guys. And as always, stay home, stay safe, and stay away from third-party ninjas. And I think you know who you are. Thank you guys again. I'll see you on the next video. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.